Hey there, it's good to be with you guys today. So yeah, my name is John, and I'm one of the SOLIDWORKS application experts here at MLC CAD Systems, and I'm excited to work with you. I spend a lot of time in SOLIDWORKS helping customers in their needs and helping them be successful in designing these incredible products that we see in our world today. So as you guys know, the title of this webinar is Optimal SOLIDWORKS Support. Now really the purpose of this is just to make you aware of SOLIDWORKS resources that are available. As you are aware of these, you can be more successful in your use and you can be more efficient to be able to do it. Now, with all the resources I'm going to show you throughout here, there's going to be a lot to it. So there's going to be a lot of different items. I'm going to have to rapid fire, but because of that, I'm going to provide a one-sheet summary here after the webinar that can help direct your resources there. So just pay attention to what you think might be useful for what you're doing, and I think everyone will at least get something out of this webinar that they can take into their daily SOLIDWORKS work. So for this webinar, I'm going to split it up into three main sections. Number one is going to be self-help resources that are available to you and what is there. The next is going to be live support. Hey, just talking to a person, getting your questions over live support. And last, I'll spend a little bit of time about some general best practices that are related to this, both on the IT side and a little bit on the user side there. So very first, let's go ahead and we'll focus on our first section of self-help resources. Now, I guess first off, I want you to think about is like, why do we even need self-help resources? Now, I'm sure a lot of things that will come to your mind there is, hey, answering quick questions on your own. So I'm going to show you a lot of resources that are available. Some of them you may know about. Some of them I would expect that you don't know about. So whenever you have a SOLIDWORKS question, I'm assuming if you're anything like me, one of the first things that you are going to do is just go into Google and search it directly there. Now this is obviously a great resource in order to quickly get answers. Sometimes you can have mixed results of what you're doing there, but it's what I do very first, and I would continue still doing it there. Now we'll see with where the world is going with AI and things here. Maybe soon we'll just be typing all our questions into ChatGPT, at least for some of these service level ones there, but we'll see how that goes. So very first for self-help, obviously Google. Now next I'm going to go into some deeper ones, and this next one's going to be the MLS Help Center. So myself and a lot of my coworkers spend a lot of time helping you guys succeed. As we help, we come across, hey, here are some common questions or common answers that we give. Now this MLS Help Center helps be, hey, a different database of these common questions to help people with those help resources. So I'll go ahead and go on to our main website. Is going to be mlc-cad.com. Just as a reminder, all of these links and stuff that I show you will be on that one-page summary that we'll do after the webinar. But on here, you go into your support section up here in the upper right-hand corner, and you're going to see an option for SOLIDWORKS technical guides. Now, all these guides were relayed by people or were made by different people or some of my coworkers that help you on an individual basis, so they find what is most helpful. Now, there's a lot of things in here, so you look over here on the left, and you'll see that you can browse by category. So a bunch on just installation of, hey, getting up and running, common things that you may run into on that. You have different products installing with what you're doing on that. I guess one side note on here, if you've ever had to download SOLIDWORKS where you log into the customer portal, create your account, register your serial number, and then go and download the installation manager, is that to simplify the process, we actually host that newest version of the installation manager just right here. So you can use that if you want in that case. But then on here, you also have a lot of different options with it. So we have installation, we go here, and hey, maybe we'll go known solutions. Like let's say, here's a common one, ensuring you're running a certified graphics card or for SOLIDWORKS to use your graphics card. So hey, that's different options on the NVIDIA, AMD, or some things on the Windows settings. And then another one that's commonly used and not people know about is, hey, like SOLIDWORKS RX, which is when you're submitting like cases or live stuff to us, it can automatically create a packaged file of, hey, your video, your files, and background information about your system that can help give us a better picture of how to help you. With this knowledge base, you can also search it, just like you hear. So I'll search install. That's going to pull up a lot of results of what we're having on here. But hey, anything that has install or things in that is that you can search it in this way, just make it easier to find for some quality resources that can help you in your work that a lot of SOLIDWORKS users have, or a lot of questions that SOLIDWORKS users have. So that's the MLC Help Center. Great resource, and is continually being added to every week, really, with that. So the next resource I'm going to show you is going to be our MLC CAD YouTube page. So I'll just Google MLC CAD YouTube and pull up the first link that goes there. And so this is going to pull up our main YouTube page. And so we have a lot of videos that are directed kind of that similar purpose as our technical guides and things here for some of them. So you have some of those videos here, but you also have a lot of, hey, different tech tips or video series and things here. So we see just on the surface here, hey, looks like there's a lot of, hey, what's new in the new one, or there's playlists, so a bunch of different stuff. We also work with Mastercam here at MLC CAD Systems, and so stuff on that. But hey, you can do different stuff, hey, on some surfacing, or I work a lot on the simulation side, so there's some getting started with simulation just for some base level stuff there. And then just different tech tips or common questions with that. So that's a great resource. Just like before, hey, you can search it here in that case. So the next thing I'm going to show you is going to be a pretty simple one. This is going to be within the SOLIDWORKS interface. So for those that are familiar just with different help files in general, you know that, hey, you go to them, usually done by development, and generally can take a little bit to sort through and look. But there's a little shortcut that I would say maybe like half users know about. So like, let's say, I'm going to open this guy up and maybe I'll start an extrude command. Or maybe I'll edit one of these in the original. And then on here, in almost every SOLIDWORKS command, you're going to have that little question mark icon that's right there. That's going to direct you to that spot in the help files. So I'm going to click on that. And we can see, hey, it directed me on here. Some development language on what it's doing, but gives some examples like, hey, extrude up to surface. There's an example of what that would look like and when you would use it in that circumstance. So can be useful, especially if you're concerned about, hey, a certain command having problems in different aspects with that. Okay, so now I'm going to do a few more help resources that are going to be available on the main SOLIDWORKS website and from development side there. So I'm going to go to the main SOLIDWORKS website, and we'll very first look at the SOLIDWORKS knowledge base. Now this is upkept by development for different things that can be helpful to customers. So you'll see in there's, hey, solutions that maybe more in-depth questions about functionality or intended functionality and things there. There's what they call SPR, service performance requests, which are a lot of different aspects of the software. There's lots of enhancement requests that are there, so you can see, hey, maybe which ones have already been implemented, which ones do they have a date when they're implemented in the future, and which ones are they aware of, and if it gets enough upvotes, then they'll implement it in a version of SOLIDWORKS. So to access it, for this, you will need a SOLIDWORKS license on subscription for the knowledge base portion, but if you just go into this solidworks.com and then that little profile icon up there is that you're going to see the SOLIDWORKS customer portal. Now, if you don't have an account, you have to create one, register your serial number, and all that jazz there. But then once you're in, is that one of the top links that's going to be here on our left is going to be for the SOLIDWORKS knowledge base. Now, this is most helpful when you have very specific questions or error messages and things here. So let's see what some I've done. Hey, let's go like a zero thickness geometry. It's an a warning message that can come up when you're using the extrude command and things there. So you'll see a lot of different things here. You can filter by solutions or those SPRs, which is, hey, either enhancement requests or different bug reports that have either been resolved in previous versions and they're just documented, or ones that are going to be implemented in the future. But you can go here, hey, when you get that, here are some good things to check when you do there and get some of those errors. So it can give you some good resources, especially for very specific error messages that are available. The next thing I'm going to show you, I'll go back to the main SOLIDWORKS website, is a few things on mysolidworks.com. Now, some of these are going to be available only if you're on subscription, but some of them are going to be available to anyone. So I'm going to go here, In that same profile icon, I'm going to go to My SolidWorks. Now, on here, you do have this trainings section, and you'll have a login for this. It's going to be the exact same login as the customer portal, same credentials. So I'm going to go ahead and go in training, and there's a bunch of little videos here that can help. Now, if you have your license on subscription, a lot of these learning paths are going to be available for like, hey, quick little videos on how to use different features or things like that. For additional costs, they have some of these e-courses or some like more in-depth online ones there. And then obviously at MLC, we have our live instructor-led courses that love working with customers on that. But like in this case, let's say, I don't know, let's go loft. And so with loft, hey, there's a lofting one. It'll go through the command and some examples on that, so that can be a video in that case. So lots of different resources that are available. You can have learning paths that are there as well. So this can be a resource. Answer quick questions. You have questions about how to use a command and things with that. You can get some quick answers here. Now the next one I'm going to quickly show you, which is a cool one that not a lot of people know about, is that under the support tab on My SolidWorks, there's this solid practices. Now the solid practices is just basically a deeper dive on common topics. Now by deeper, you see some of these topics here, like here's a good one, managing large assemblies in SolidWorks. So if you have large assemblies, maybe they're going slow what you're doing. Hey, what are some best practices? What works behind, or how SolidWorks working behind the scenes in what you're doing? That, hey, I think this one's like a 10 or 15 page one that goes into deeper, that can really help your large assemblies in applying best practices. So lots of different ones of these available, a lot of different topics, but not a lot of people know about these, so I wanted to point that out. Now last thing I show that will, as far as the self-help resources, but this one's going to be available for anyone that just has an account, doesn't need to have a license subscription, but that's going to be your SolidWorks user forms. Now, with it, as with any form, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly as far as quality of people responding or how the questions are asked and things there, but can be a great resource to ask questions or see what questions have been asked before to get those answers. So you can go in here, you can browse previous questions, or you can go to the official form on here. Same login as your other ones that we've talked about. But we see, hey, that SolidWorks user form, so you can ask a question, respond to questions. There are some different communities available if you want. So I work a lot on the simulation side with your structural and fluid flow, so I have some of those communities in there. Alrighty, so like I said, I just rapid fire through a lot of self-help resources. Those links are going to be included on that one page. So with that, let's go ahead and we'll go back to our PowerPoint for a second. So we've covered some of the self-help resources. So let's now transition to some of our live support with that. So this is really just getting live help, talking to a person, being able to bounce your ideas off of them. Now with it, as with a lot of things I talked about, the live support is available only if you have the license on subscription there. So with it, basically, when you have on subscription, you get unlimited support. Doesn't matter how many cases you submit there, what you're doing, and that's where we get your case. Often, hey, we'll review some things beforehand, and we'll give you a call. We'll likely share screens, look at what's going on, and really help you get up and running with that. Now, one thing I do want to mention with some of the live support is that there is a line between support and training. Our main purpose is to help you become successful in your designs, which comes by being successful with SolidWorks in that. So sometimes when we're on cases, we'll be like, hey, you know what's best? Let's answer this specific question. Let's dive into it there. But other times, it's like, oh, based on what you're working on and things here, it's going to be most helpful to suggest, hey, if you want to take one of our training classes, whether if it's a 3-day sim class or 2-day surfacing or whatever it is there, taking class to help get some of those deeper skills that can help you be more efficient overall. So with it, like I said, when you submit the case, you expect to get a call, talk about what's going on. If possible, share your screen and take a look on that. Now, one thing to note is that it is first come, first served basis of what it's doing there. So if there isn't a lot of cases, we'll get back to you in a few minutes, but it can be a couple hours. I'll go ahead and show you how to submit a support case. I love talking to customers about their SOLIDWORKS needs, but I'll go ahead and go back to the web browser here, and I'm going to go to that first website is at mlc-cad.com where that SOLIDWORKS technical guides was. And you'll see in that same spot on support is that there's an option there to create a case. Now when you go there, we're focused about SOLIDWORKS, so we'll select the SOLIDWORKS case request. And then, hey, you can fill out the form, what company, your name, email, etc. there. There's a few other ways you can submit cases. If you prefer to talk to someone on the phone, so then they can submit a case for you, and then one of the technical experts can then reach out. Hey, there's this phone number here that you can call, so that number and then extension 2. Also, especially if you submit a number of cases that you can email, I'll put the email address here, SOLIDWORKS Support at mlc-cad.com. And when you have that, hey, if you send to that email address, that will also create a case automatically in that case, in that circumstance for us to help out. One other side note is that, like I said, for these you do have to be on subscription, but if you're just trying to get SOLIDWORKS running, you're trying to install it, you're trying to activate it and things there, just please reach out, especially if you purchase our license through us. Like we want to get you at least up and running things there, so we're here to help. So please reach out in those circumstances as well. Alrighty, so that's the main thing with live support. Talking to a person. Our technical team has a lot of resources as available. Everyone is certified in SOLIDWORKS and lots of different specialties and all the different SOLIDWORKS products. So we really have the ability to help you as needed. Alrighty, so with that, hey, we've looked at live support, and now let's go into just a little bit of best practices. Now for best practices, these are going to be some pretty small ones. First, I'll focus on the IT, and then I'll go over a few things on user. But really, these best practices are just to help just minimize any downtime that you may have as you have different questions or things come up. So first, for the IT aspect of things, one thing that I'll tell people all the time is just when you're upgrading, plan ahead. If you aren't sure of procedure or what's going on there, then reach out, submit a case. Reach out to us there. There's several times, hey, a 5-minute phone call would have saved a big headache for different customers, and we don't like customers being down. They don't like being down. So if you aren't sure about the upgrade process or different things to be aware of, give us a call. A little conversation can help out a lot. Another thing is just a lot of people have different backups of their files of what you're doing. So it's really good, hey, test your backups, recover your environment as a test before it's an emergency of what you're doing. A lot of things within like SOLIDWORKS PDM, your product data management, and there you can have different archives or file history and things there, but however your files are saved, having different backups, a recovery plan can be absolutely crucial so you don't lose a bunch of work or you aren't down for this longer than you can. And that goes for any file more than just SOLIDWORKS files, but very important in that. Now, the other thing that I like to tell people on the IT side is that to lower some of your downtime, it can be helpful to centrally share SOLIDWORKS downloads in a location like an online drive or things there. That way, if something crazy happens, whatever it is, hey, you have a hard drive failure, you have a power surge or whatever there where you need to get another computer up and running or whatever needs to happen there, hey, you can get them up and running in an hour with the reinstall instead of having to track down everything and could be a day. So we just want you to minimize downtime there. The other thing I tell IT is just keep clear documentation of your licenses, subscription updates, where the licenses are located at. That as you have this, they can make it a lot easier to know, hey, what's going on? Is this because the license isn't on subscription problem of what you're doing, or just understanding, hey, where are these licenses currently activated or located at? Okay, so then I'll do a couple more things. I'll transition from the IT side to the user side. So on the user side, some best practices. One, and I mentioned a little bit before, but when you do submit cases for live support, it can be super helpful if you're able to submit also with it an RX file or upload the files as you can there. So I guess just to go back on here, so I'll go back to our SOLIDWORKS technical guides. There's this thing is how to use that RX tool, which captures background information about, hey, you can record what's going on, it can capture files, it can look about your system. That can be very helpful in there. And the other thing I say is a best practice, is that when you submit a case, is that if you can, sending the files can be helpful for us to troubleshoot. So you have under the same support dropdown, send a file. And on here, this is where you can send any size of file. One thing to note is that this doesn't submit a case. So if you're submitting a case and have a file through here, is that you'll need to do both, and just note that you uploaded it in that circumstance. The other best practice that I'll talk about here is that I'll go into SolidWorks. And this is an option not a lot of people know about, but there's some automatic settings that you can do for autosaves and backups. Now I'll go into my system options here at the top middle. And within this column on the left, you'll see an option for backup/recover. Now this first option is auto recover. So hey, if there's a crash and things there, it's automatically saving behind the scenes every some odd minutes of what you set there. So hey, if it crashes, hey, you can at least get don't have to start over if you haven't saved for a minute there. But then the other option that isn't checked by default is backups. So basically, let's say you've saved the file 3 times during the day, that I can go in here and enable backups and set 3. So it basically keeps a copy of the last 3 saves that you've had. So that way, even if it's not like a crash run, but you just start messing with your model and don't know how to fix it, hey, you can go back to one of the original copies there. You'll see if you use PDM, that a lot of your file history is taken care of automatically. But for anyone, this backup can be good. So you can set so you have different copies that you can go back to as needed, and it's automatic, so you aren't wasting so much downtime if something happens. Alrighty, so that's the most. That's most of it from this webinar. Like I said, there'll be that one-page sheet. I'll go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint here just to summarize what we talked about. So we have our 3 sections: self-help, live support, best practices. On the self-help aspect of things, like I said, Google it, what you're doing. That MLC knowledge base being browsable and searchable and being from these people that are working with you all day, then a great resource there. We have our MLC CAD YouTube page, has a lot of resources made by the same people that work on the knowledge base. Yeah, that SOLIDWORKS knowledge base, which is by development, hey, looking at specific, especially if you use specific messages in SolidWorks, or looking at, hey, different enhancement requests in the future when they're fixed, or different bug reports or specific solutions to, like I said, specific questions there. You have those help files, the SolidWorks help files, and give more information about commands. The My SolidWorks trainings, you can go in there and have access to some quick little trainings, just especially if you have like a simple question about a single command there. Solid practices in there that deeper dive on common topics, and then you have those online forums and user groups that are there on the forums. So we have those. We have stuff on the live support. Get help from a person. We're certified in anything and everything SolidWorks, and we're just here to help you be successful in your work, in your designs, and finding those best solutions there. I love SolidWorks. Love helping people be most effective with it. And then last, we talked about a few of the best practices that are available. Hey, on the IT side, just plan ahead. Call if there's any questions. Centrally share files. Having documentation of where your licenses are can be very helpful. And then for a user, turn on those auto saves. And then when you're submitting cases on the user side, including RX or send files when applicable, can help you get back up and running quicker.